Hi everyone, welcome back to another Now recording. This is basically part two, even though it's coming 2 weeks after my most recent video, but it's part two of my most recent pickups. There have been a lot of pickups recently. I do intend to go back to the collection videos, but there's been so much new stuff coming in that I do want to catalog it, and we have 6 to go over today. 4 of these came from a recent trip to Mystery Train Records in Gloucester, so they're used. And I'm going to show those, including the one that's right in front of us that we're looking at now. So we'll start with those, and these were probably picked up 3 to 4 weeks ago now, so I just haven't gotten around to doing a video on them, but we'll do those and then a couple of new ones as well. So this is Beauty and Sadness from the Smithereens. This is an EP, so it only has, I think, 4 total songs on it. Beauty and Sadness, some other guy, Tracy's World, Much Too Much. I haven't put this on yet. Even though I've had it for a few weeks, and I don't really know much about them. I've just kind of heard that they're good, and I found it in Mystery Train, which is a pretty cool used record store. They have a lot of neat stuff, and you have to kind of dig around for it a little bit. There's stuff piled underneath the main bins, and this is where I found that, and at $3.50, which is the price tag on it, I thought I'd take a chance on it. You don't really see something like this every day. This came out in 1983 on Little Ricky Records. As you can see, it says Outstanding 1983 Mini Album Available Again. So it was re-released on Enigma Records back in 1988. So I believe that this came out in 1983. After this came out, originally they had some success, a few modest singles, and then this was re-released by the record company later. To kind of cash in on that. So they had some minor hits in the late 80s and early 90s that I read about these on Wikipedia. I don't know these songs at all, but I guess that they charted. Only a Memory, A Girl Like You, Blues Before and After, Blood and Roses, which I guess appeared on an episode of Miami Vice. I don't really know those songs, but I guess that they did chart. I'm looking forward to checking this out and seeing what it's all about. They were termed the Beatles meet AC/DC, so that could go either way. But we'll see. Something that's interesting was this hole here, and I'm not sure if that, like the old cutout bins, where like discounted albums would have the little punch, or like a little edge would be taken off. I'm not sure if that's related to that, but I thought that was interesting. On the back, we just got pictures of the band. And I guess these guys appeared in the Class of Nukem High movie, which was like a low-budget movie, as like a band that plays music in that. They're from New Jersey, and I'll have to just check this out. I don't really know anything about it, and this would be an easy one. 4 songs, probably take 10 minutes to listen to this. But I found it. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you can bump into for cheap at a used record store, and it's kind of fun to find stuff like this. And I've always heard that they're good, so I thought I'd check it out. It wasn't really much of a cost outlay for that one. Okay, moving on to record number 2. This is, sorry for the glare, guys. Let me get this over here. How about that? There we go. This is Ain't Love Grand by X. X is most well known as an influential punk band. If you've ever seen the Penelope Spheris film, The Decline of Western Civilization Part 1, which I urge you to watch, it's great. A real window into late 70s, early 80s punk rock bands. X is featured in that, and their seminal album is Los Angeles, which I also do have on vinyl. I really enjoy that album. This is a later album. I believe Los Angeles came out, I'm going to get the year wrong, but I want to say 79, 80, something like that. This came out in 1985 on Elektra Records. This is their 5th album. They had another album called Wild Gift that I haven't heard yet, but that's also considered to be very good. This had a minor radio hit on it. Burning House of Love got some airplay, wherever that is. Oh, it's side 1. It's the first song. Burning House of Love. And then actually what's funny is that is John Doe, who also is known as being Pat the bartender from Roadhouse. So he's great in that. So X is a pretty cool band. I haven't heard this one yet, but they're kind of like punk meets rockabilly. Like a song from Los Angeles called "Johnny Hit and Run Pauline" is a good example of that, where they kind of have like a rockabilly sensibility and that kind of guitar sound, and they do some stuff like that, almost like Elvis-y. But then they have some punk rock songs too, and the songs are much faster and stuff like that. This album went to number 89 in 1985, so it didn't, for the time, I guess that's not bad at all, but it didn't burn up the charts or anything like that. And I have not put this one on either. I guess this is the last album with original guitarist Billy Zoom, who's right there. I want to say that they did some more without him, but something that is cool, though, is this original Electra sleeve. Like, that's pretty sharp. I like that. That's so 80s. Look at that thing. And then the color scheme is matched by the record itself. So this was a few bucks as well. I like Los Angeles. I like their earlier album. I thought, why not? It's a couple bucks. So I went for it. All right. Next, we have Elvis Costello and the Attractions, Armed Forces. Recently, I've had an Elvis Costello album on MP3 for ages and ages, this year's model. And I liked it, but I never really followed up on it. I've had that for 10 years. And recently I was just kind of I think I want to investigate Elvis Costello a little bit further. I feel like that's kind of a blind spot that I don't know much about, and I'd like to learn. And this was also at Mystery Train. And this was also buried under a big pile of other stuff, which is, it kind of makes it fun that you can find stuff like that. You just got to put a little work into it. So unfortunately, this is in a little bit of tough shape. You see this split there. I don't like that. I can probably glue it. But yeah, I'm not really too psyched about that. And I was able to kind of negotiate a lower price on it. And then God only knows what that is. That stain. I don't want to touch that. That's pretty gross, and that's also kind of a bummer, but the album plays fine. It's the third album by the group, released in 1979 on Columbia. Here's the rear. It was produced by Nick Lowe, which is pretty cool. The original title for the album was going to be Emotional Fascism, and you can see that down here. This is Emotional Fascism with a bunch of fake colors, or I'm not even sure what that means. And on the other side is a picture of the band with the track listings and the songs that are on this. The initial pressing came, well, of course this did not come with this, but the initial pressing came with a 3-song single called Live at Hollywood High, and then the UK pressing came with some postcards of the band. And this album, songs from this album, I think Accidents Will Happen appeared in E.T. Or the main the boy is listening to that song at one point. And this is just a very highly regarded album. Q Magazine, which is a British rock magazine, called it listed at number 45 of the top 100 British albums. That list came out in 2000. And then Rolling Stone listed it at number 475 on their 2012 list of the 500 greatest albums of all time. Pitchfork gave it a 9.5. It hit number 10 in the US and number 2 in the UK, so it was his highest charting album. Oliver's Army and Accidents Will Happen were the 2 singles, so Oliver's Army right there and Accidents Will Happen both on side 1. And I've listened to I've only listened to side 1 of this. I enjoyed it, but I haven't listened to side 2 yet, so I'm looking forward to doing so. So yeah, I mean, it's in tough shape. That's kind of a bummer, but I'm excited to kind of get into Elvis Costello and listen to him a little bit more. Just something I don't really know a whole lot about, so that's pretty cool that I was able to find that. All right, moving on. We've got Cahoots by the band. I think I mentioned this before, that when I first got a record player, I bought 6 albums, 2 Dylan, a Clash album, and then the 3 main band albums, The Band, Music from Big Pink, and Stage Fright. So those were my first album purchases ever, and I haven't bought another band album until now. So it's been quite a gap between buying an album by a particular group. I do really like Cahoots a lot. Not enough to buy at full price, and in fact, I still paid, as you can see here, I still paid almost $10 for it for a used copy, and this one's in good shape. But for a used copy of an album that I could probably find this somewhere for cheaper than that used. So but I just wanted it, and they had it, and so I said, what the hell, I'll buy it. This was, I want to say this is their fourth album. This came out in 1971 on Capitol Records. Really nice looking gatefold. I mean, it is in great shape. It almost makes me wonder like when this pressing was released, because it's just in such good shape. Here we get a picture of the band. Pretty nice picture of them as well. So then we just get a plain white sleeve, and then the old. I mean, that looks pretty vintage. Although the new pressings of the Stage Fright and Big Pink and stuff kind of have this look as well. So that doesn't necessarily mean anything. Trying to look at the yeah. So I'm not sure if this is an original or not, but it's in terrific shape if it is. So this hit number 21 in the U.S. Life is a Carnival was the lead single, and you can look at the songs. What this album suffers from is the first side is absolutely tremendous. All the songs on that are on the first side are great. Life is a Carnival, When I Paint My Masterpiece, terrific. Last of the Blacksmiths, Where Do We Go From Here, 4% Pantomime. Going over to side 2, the quality just drops off significantly. And this is really the first band album that had that issue. I mean, the other albums I mentioned are terrific front to back. This really stalls out. Shootout in Chinatown is borderline embarrassing. Moonstruck One, I don't care for that. And then some of the other stuff is just kind of pedestrian. So side 1, fantastic, love it. I'll listen to that all day long. Side 2, I can kind of take it or leave it. I'm not really that psyched about side 2. So yeah, it's a good album though. I'm glad to have it. I love those songs on side 1. And then from here, they really they still had some high spots. Northern Lights, Southern Cross was another studio album that had a few good songs. And then they had Moondog Matinee, which was like a covers album that has some good songs on that. And then Islands was kind of like an odds and ends kind of collection that kind of wrapped things up until their ill-fated late 80s and early 90s albums without Robbie. Which we just don't need to talk about here. So, but the band, I love the band. If I come across those other albums for cheap, I'd buy those too, but I kind of have what I need from them right now. In terms of buying anything full price, I think I'm all set. I think I'm good. But Cahoots, well worth it. All right, so now we move over to the new stuff, and we'll start with this bad boy. This is Peace of Mind by Iron Maiden. And my friend Matt got me this. He is a very big fan of heavy metal and Iron Maiden. And for my birthday, he picked this up for me. And to kind of talk about my history with metal music and my phases of music, I actually kind of recently thought about like the different phases of my musical life. And, of course, when you're a kid, well, when I was a little kid, I listened to what my dad listened to. So I liked the Beatles and stuff like that he was listening to. And then as I grew a little bit older, like, 8, 9, 10, 11, I liked whatever was on MTV. But like pop, whatever pop was on MTV, whatever the big songs were, I liked those. 12, 13, I started still liking what was on MTV, but more with an ear towards like alternative rock at the time, like Bush, Nirvana, like bands like that. And then from there, I kind of got into metal, like 14, 15, 16, those ages, I got into metal. And me and my good friend Matt, who gave me this, were both into metal, and we had all the Iron Maiden records and Metallica and Megadeth and Anthrax and Slayer and you name it, including heavier stuff like death and death metal and black metal and stuff like that we were into. And I think it was kind of going full circle to to getting into Black Sabbath, which really kind of opened the door to Led Zeppelin for me, and then that took me down a whole other path. So, I don't listen to metal at all anymore. I'll be completely honest with that. It's not because I don't like it. It's just kind of, I almost feel like it's a little bit of a been there, done that situation. But it's not to say that I don't like it. Like I just said, I do like it, and I think it's cool. And my friend Matt's still carrying the torch, and he was nice enough to get me this for my birthday. And I used to have this. I still do have this at my parents' house on CD in my old bedroom, and I love this album. I had all the Iron Maiden albums, and this was one of them that I had. This is their fourth record, the second with lead singer Bruce Dickinson, who is right there, first from the left. Their first two albums had Paul Di'Anno, who was kind of like almost like a punk singer in a sense. He wore like a leather jacket. He kind of looked like that, and had that kind of sound and sensibility. Bruce Dickinson's more operatic. Really a trendsetter actually for metal vocalists. I mean, he's kind of the gold standard. This came out in 1983 on Capitol Records, and this particular pressing is if I can get it to focus, this is from BMG In Grooves. This was released in 2014, so certainly not an original. This is a new pressing. Eddie is their mascot. He's chained up there. Then we go to the band, and it's called Peace of Mind. So you see there's a brains for dinner. And I noticed that there's a bottle, if you can see that there's like a bottle of HP sauce, brown sauce, along with ketchup. This is the first album for drummer Nico McBrain, who is third from the left there in the background there. Before that, it was Clive Burr, who was the drummer. And some of the cool things about this album, I mean, the liner notes are extensive, which I always really like to see. And there's a few like no synthesizers or ulterior motives. Very special thanks to Clive Burr. Good luck, mate. World Peace Tour 83. Come on, you irons. To all the headbangers, Earth Dogs, Hell Rats, and Rivet Heads everywhere. Thanks. Iron Maiden FC, the fan club. There's a lot of cool stuff to read, And they have this like Bible quote that I guess is bastardized on the back from Revelations. So yeah, it's just fun. Let's see, we got Flight. I mean, all these songs are cool. Flight of Icarus was the lead single, I guess. I didn't know that until I looked it up for this. That hit number 12 in the UK. And think about that. Also, The Trooper, the first song on side 2, hit number 12 in the UK as well as a single. That, 1983, right? So the pop charts in 1983, crazy. There's so much shit going on then. It's not like hitting number 12 now, it doesn't really mean much of anything. But hitting number 12 on the singles chart as a metal band in 1983 that's nuts. I mean, those charts are pop, and a band like this was able to do that. It speaks to their versatility. I mean, they didn't, they're a metal band, but they, like, Dickinson added that operatic kind of element, very melodic, very fast, and very fun. Even though they're singing about, and this album is very much kind of themes of like war and stuff like that, but it's not menacing. It's kind of inviting. It's just goofy's not the right word. That's not fair to them, but it's more fun. They're having fun. You can tell that they're having fun, and it's inviting. So that's a lot of fun. And it hit number 14 in the U.S. as well, which is crazy as well for a British metal band to hit number 14 in the U.S. in 1983, and number 3 in the U.K. with this album. So Maiden. I'm glad to have a Maiden album in the collection because I wouldn't have bought it, to be fair, but I'm glad to have it, and I will listen to it. And maybe it'll get me back into Maiden and metal. Who knows? So that's that. And now we got the last album of the day, and this is Prince, 1999. So to a little bit of backstory. First of all, my wife, I mentioned this in the last video, she bought me a couple of records for my birthday. One of them I already had. It was a Kurt Weill record, so I returned it and I got this. Beyond that, what was crazy about Prince's death earlier this year was about 2 weeks before Prince died, I started getting really into Prince. I never really spent much time on him. He, again, was another blind spot. I didn't really know much about him. I listened to Raspberry Beret like every day, leading up to, I was listening to that song like crazy. I was listening to a bunch of Prince songs like crazy. And I was like, I got to get some Prince stuff. Then he died. Like, no joke, about like 2 weeks before he died, I got super into him. And then all of a sudden he died. And then, of course, now, I might have had a prayer of finding Prince records at a used record store or a flea market before that. But now, no way. It's not going to happen, which sucks. But it sucks even more that he died. That sucks. But anyway, so this is my first Prince record, 1999. I just thought, I love the song 1999. I like Little Red Corvette, so I thought, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable place to start. This is from 1982, Warner Brothers. This is the first album Prince did with The Revolution, which is interesting. This hit number 9 in the United States, but it actually, at the time it was released, but it hit number 7 this year after he died. Number 9 in 1983 or 1982 means a hell of a lot more than hitting number 7 now, but a lot of singles from this. Take a look at the back here. 1999 was a single that hit number 12. Little Red Corvette hit number 6. Delirious hit number 8. Let's Pretend We're Married was another one that I think that hit like number 52 or something like that. So, and those were the first videos to go into heavy rotation on MTV. Black artist going into heavy rotation on MTV. Those videos for those songs. So, pretty important record as well in that respect. It in terms of its legacy, it's number 63 or 163, excuse me, on the Rolling Stone Top 500 Albums of All Time list, and then it was the 1989 Rolling Stone. In 1989, Rolling Stone did a Top 100 Albums of the 80s. This was number 16 on that list. And not that matters at all. I just think it's kind of interesting and kind of fun. Lists are interesting. They don't mean anything though. I understand that. So the inner work, inner sleeves, we have, it's 2 records. So there's the first one with The Revolution behind him. And then this is just lyrics, which is cool that they give you that. Does it, Let's Pretend We're Married, does it not, it doesn't have the swears on it, does it? Yeah, that song gets a little blue towards the end of it, and he drops a few F-bombs in a sexual connotation. And apparently the lyric sheet did not want to include those. Let's see, you got his eye, which is neat. And then we got Prince's watercolors. It's just sexy painting. And then I think this is just his eye too. Yep. So I have listened to this all the way through a couple times, and it's great. I mean, I knew it would be great, and it is great. And it sucks that we lost Prince. When he died, because I was getting so into him and I was listening to his stuff, it actually ended up being a gateway to hearing a lot more of his stuff, because the weekend after he died, all weekend, well, for the first night, like MTV played like Prince videos and then Purple Rain and stuff like that. But then the weekend, the rest of the weekend, channels like MTV Classic, or it was VH1 Classic at the time, BET Soul, which I didn't even really know I had until then, played Prince videos 24 hours for like 4 or 5 days, and I watched a ton of them and heard all sorts of songs I had never heard that went beyond 1999, Little Red Corvette, Raspberry Beret, and I heard a ton of stuff, and I liked almost all of it. So this is not going to be the end of my Prince collection, I guess, or there will be more Prince records, but this seemed like a good place to start. By the way, that is certainly a penis. The one. It's kind of cool that you could get away with stuff like that. I feel like this is 1982. I feel like now there'd be like an uproar, people protest and a bunch of bullshit. But he could do it. So that's all of them. I mean, so looking at what last video, I had 2 Pearl Jam records, Band of Horses, the new Sun Kill Moon Jesu split or collaboration, excuse me, and then wasn't there another one too? Husker Du. So 11 records in like a month. I think I'm good for a little while. There's a new Drive By Truckers record that comes out at the end of this month, and then the new Wilco album. They seem to be putting out a new album every 6 months. That came out too, so I'll probably get those. There's a new Cass McCombs album too that I really want, so I'm sure I'll be seeing you again soon, but hopefully we'll do a collection video to break this stuff up. All right, thank you. Bye.